It's another Tuesday evening. This is the show in which we get to the bottom of things with key industry movers and shakers. I'm Patrick Sam. Tonight we're sitting down with the Secretary General of the ailing opposition party, that is the Rally for Democracy and Progress, the RDP, that is Mr. Mike Kavikotora. Good evening, Mr. Kavikotora, and welcome to 101.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the program.
I think obviously, the reason why political parties are important is because they influence the functionality of the state in terms of access to state resources and such things. Do you think with the ruling party gaining more ground from the last elections, we saw that both at a national and at a regional level as well, gaining considerably more power when it comes to the legislative processes. And sadly, the opposite is happening for opposition parties. They're losing more power. Do you think that this is a trend that is going to help the multi-party democracy in our country?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's a very interesting question, and there is something that the whole nation need to interrogate. We have adopted a multi-party democracy, which is a system among other systems. So the preservation of democracy is a very important aspect. The ruling party, it's true that they are gaining grounds to the detriment of the opposition parties. It is not a good thing. However, I think the opposition parties have come to the realization, and as of last year, we have started looking at ways and means of reversing that trend, because that is not good for democracy, and I think the ruling party is even aware of that.
But in terms of, getting to the drivers behind, this lessening power amongst opposition, what do you think is at the core of this? Because obviously we've heard the large part of the problem might be the inner party democracy of opposition parties, that it just doesn't seem like your house is together. There's internal fights and squabbles that doesn't even make you a viable alternative for those people who don't maybe want to vote to the ruling party.
There are internal issues and there are also external issues to this whole dwindling down of opposition parties. It's not only a one-way street. In my view, the ruling party is using every resource available at their disposal to try to minimize the impact of the opposition parties. It is true that as much as squabbling is all over the show, I think the ruling party, because of its massive resources and so on, have got a much better capacity to siphon that and reduce that.
Is that not a scapegoat argument? Because we've obviously seen a breakaway from the ruling party, with the former president of the RDP. And when he goes back, what do you think that symbolizes in terms of perception? Do you think people have faith or continue to have faith in a party like RDP when the person that created the party goes back to the ruling party?
I think that's one thing that it's a very good question, but people have to understand the formation of organizations. The moment you start an organization, the organization takes up its own identity. It's no longer an individual issue. So the creation of RDP by the former president was a good thing. There was good reasons why it was created. However, when the president left, the RDP remained intact. Because it's an organization that has got specific obligations, objectives, that it's got a vision, it's got a mission, it's a legal entity, so to speak. Therefore, from that perspective, one cannot link the survival of the RDP with the departure of the former